And we're back.
On cue.
Oh, on you.
That's it. When the timer ended, we're back. Here we are.
We, yeah, just precise.
That's
Hey, I
right.
don't mess around, pal.
Uh,
We got a job to do here.
That's right. I like it.
that's right. Don't veer off a doc schedule.
That's
Be in
that's
trouble.
right.
Yeah. So, what do you think so far?
Yeah. I mean, look, we're going over some great aspects of Convene. We're letting people know why it's different, what the flexibility of this platform can help you do to grow, your business, to grow your platform, to grow your nonprofit or your organization. There's so much
Yeah.
flexibility in it, but it really comes down
Yeah.
to uh, the flexibility and the communication tools and,
Right.
and everything that we
Right.
bring to the table. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, this next 30 minutes, you just said what it comes down to. I think what Convene really is broken down to in the experiences. That to me, that's what sets us apart far more than anything
Yep.
else is our experiences. And I know we're going to go through it, but why don't you tell us the history, the background of why experiences, what are they, and how did they come to be, how did you come to conceptualize the experiences here?
Yeah. So it's our form of is it you can call it a training, you can call it a course, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But the reality of it is we learn through life experience. We learn through as we do things over and over and do things more. That's how we learn. So it's experiential learning.
Hmm.
And people may not have, you know, heard that term before, but I always use the example of driving a car. We've all
Yeah.
been driving for a long time. You're probably, Jeff, getting ready to start into, if you're not already into the phase of teaching your daughters how to drive. Uh,
Already driving one of them.
yeah, exactly. So that was a process, right, that you had to go through. And,
Yeah.
you have many years of experience of driving. But guess what? Number of years back, you were in the same shoes that
Right.
Helena's in. And
Right.
so it's through life we gain experiences and we learn. But if you go back, listening to Kate talk, we all bring so much experience to the table, and that's
Right.
the key.
Right.
The idea and the concept behind experiences, can we allow everybody to have input? Can we allow
Yeah.
everybody to have say so? An example
Yeah.
would be we have an experience called I Am From, and you've done this with your kids. It is the
Hmm.
most taken experience inside of Convene. And it's from my daughter. She wrote from a prompt in high school. It's I Am From. She wrote about what makes her who she is,
Hmm.
and your kids go in your classroom and they take I Am From,
Yeah.
and they're able to go back and read other people's answers.
Yeah.
And the key thing is when you get to the lesson learned, you see things like, I realize that I'm not the only one going through these things. I
Right.
realize that I'm not as different as I think I am.
Yeah.
uh, and so talk
That's
about
been
that a little bit, because that's the
yeah.
concept.
Yeah. That's been the biggest thing about that experience in particular. Yeah. Started having my students each semester take that. Well, maybe 2 years ago, a couple falls ago, coming out of COVID, I guess it was.
Yep.
So maybe 3 years ago. But it's an experience that, and I'll be candid. A lot of the I shouldn't say a lot. Some of the students kind of look at it and like, it's a poem or it's this or that. Well, then they kind of read through it. Oh, well, it's her going to the soccer games, with Braid or for Braid and going, seeing I should say, experiencing her life through you flying or you being away or whatever the case is, right? So it's not just, hey, I'm from Midland, Michigan, and I now live in High Point, North Carolina, whatever. And the kids will, once they start to write in it and type in it, once they really understand that it's anonymous and that nobody's going to know who's
Yep.
saying it, because let's be fair, these are all students that have pretty much gone to school together with each other since kindergarten, right?
Yep.
Smaller charter school, they all know each other. So, put the name on it now. Maybe they're a little bit embarrassed about certain things. Well, what's come about from it over the last couple of semesters, especially, is students opening up. From their who they are in their home life, who they are from their parents or their brothers or sisters or grandpa and grandmas or whatever their life experiences are up to this point. And they'll open right up into these answers. And then, as you said, in the lessons learned, I get a chance. I walk around and I don't read what they're writing. I just sort of walk around and make sure they're doing okay. but they really do. They are reading through the answers,
Yeah.
right? And they're understanding that, somebody they might have gone to school with since kindergarten, and now they're ninth or 10th graders, and they understand that their friends they've known forever have gone through similar circumstances at home or in their life that they didn't know about before. Like it's there's almost like a relief off their faces.
Yeah.
And then, and
Exactly.
like you said, they get to the lessons learned, and they're like, "Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That was great, and I'm not going through it by myself." So, it's been a really great experience to take
Yeah.
with my kids. So,
So now
um,
what it does for you as the teacher, now you can go back and read all these answers and it gives you things that you can continue the conversation with. You
yeah,
can talk
yeah,
about like so there's some constants in it,
yeah,
family, friends, anxiety, different
yeah,
things. And now you can go back in
yeah.
and have those conversations with the
Yeah,
kids.
and it gives me a sense of not only, what these kids are going through, but also a little sense of empathy.
Mhm.
Like I get it, they're going through it, and hey, you know what? I might have gone through it as a kid, or I see my daughters going through it, or I see the players on my soccer teams kind of going through the same thing. So I can relate that it's not just one particular group of students in the middle of North Carolina, right? So
Well, you realize that we're experienced, right? I say it all the
yeah,
time. We're not walking alone.
right,
And a lot of times we feel like we're the only ones that are going through certain things.
yeah, yeah,
We're the only ones going through relationship problems, or we're the only ones
right,
going through friend problems, or we're the only one going through you name it.
yeah,
So it's very important that we share, but it's not all about that type of topic. It could be,
right,
let's show soccer clips from the game and
yeah,
ask our players
yeah,
how, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? How could we
yeah.
do it better? You know?
Yeah, and that's where I was going to get to because I remember, back in 2014, whenever it was when you first introduced me to it, the term scenario based training came up.
Yeah,
And I was like,
exactly.
what the heck is that? And, you said it was a military term, and that's how you guys did some learning there. Well, it can go from something very serious, if you will, in scenarios to something not as serious as, like you just mentioned, soccer film, right? Using
Yep.
it with my team. I just take 2, 3, 4 minute clips. I put it into an experience, which we're going to show you how to build here in a second. And they can watch the clip. And you did this with the 12-year-olds, right?
Yep.
Watch this
Exactly.
little clip, ask, two things. What'd you do right? What can we do better? Maybe what side of the field should we go to? Whatever, and they get to answer it anonymously because you know how
Mhm.
kids are,
Oh yeah.
especially teammates. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to
Yeah.
see the
Exactly.
answers and have their names associated with it. But my players will come to me, or excuse me, they'll answer the questions, and the next day at training, I'll just talk about it. Hey, you guys all had this answer, or this question, and they learned from it. And you can see it happen on the field the next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And that's really the key. The key is that it's shared learning. Shared
yeah,
learning becomes important because
yep,
you might write something in the answer, and I go and read it, and I'm like, I never thought about that because you're
yeah,
coming at it from a different perspective as I
yep.
am.
Yeah, they're
Um,
learning from me, right? With the just again with the soccer clip scenario, they're learning from me and what I sort of say because I'll voice over some of the clips, but then they're learning from each other in the answers, and then so am I. I've learned.
yeah.
Maybe I didn't see what was going on. Maybe I didn't know what Susie was thinking, and now I've just read an answer, and okay, now I get it. Yeah.
Well, what I teach people in like corporations and all that, and it applies here too, is like if you have 10 answers in there, you have 15 answers from your girls on the team or however many it is, and you're seeing that, you know, 10 of the, you know, 15 or 10 of the 18 or how many you have on your team are not getting the
Mhm.
concept, then you have to go out and address that in
Right.
practice.
Right.
That you
Because they're
need to
not
go
gonna
back.
they're not gonna say that at practice in front of everybody, right? Very
Absolutely.
few are. Yeah.
Yeah. So it,
Yeah.
it is the basis of, Amy's putting some great comments in there,
Hmm.
it's base level learning. It goes beyond it, and really, it's how we want to continue that conversation. But we want to have everybody involved in that conversation. We want people to bring their thought process and answers. Now, if you're going through the whole learning process, you're getting introduced to it in the experience background.
Hmm.
Then you're going in and you can put a presentation in there so you can
Hmm.
explain it, you as the teacher or the person that's presenting the experience.
Hmm.
Then you're getting people to answer the experience, and then you're coming out with the lesson learned. And we'll talk about each of these components, but think about how that works. If in the learning environment it's getting reinforced, reinforced, reinforced,
Hmm.
reinforced, and that
Yep.
plays into the learning process. And that's really how we do it. And that's in the military. You mentioned scenario based training. That's what this is built off of. I'm going to take
Mhm.
something, I'm going to take a concept, and then I'm going to put you in that situation. And I'm going to
Right,
say, you're in this situation. How would you handle it? Or,
right,
if this is about who you are and I am from, who are you?
right,
And then you see what everybody else wrote and all that. So
right.
it becomes a different way of learning. Again, when we're talking about this, how we differentiate ourselves from other learning
So I was
platforms,
gonna ask.
it's not just a video after
Yep,
video after video after
yep,
video. It
yep,
is collaborative learning.
yep.
Yeah.
From other members in the group and from the group leader,
Yeah,
right? Yep, and
exactly.
the constant collaboration and communication. Just like we mentioned with Kate last hour. If she's not, and Lisa the hour before, if they're not going back and responding and collaborating and communicating with those members and answering those questions based off of their content, they're not going to have members. They're going to lose their members.
Well, it for Kate, it drives her Wednesday
Sure.
discussion because she is
Mhm.
the person who wrote that experience. She goes back and reads everybody's answers before that Wednesday call, and it helps her
Yeah.
drive the discussion. So if you're doing collaborative calls, you're doing Zoom calls, you have things that where you're driving a schedule with people and you're teaching them a concept. If you take them through that process and then you get on the call and everybody's answered the experience before, now you have something to talk about. You have the
Yeah.
data, so to speak, to drive the conversation. And if there's gaps, you fill the gaps. You fill
Right.
the gaps of, okay, they're not understanding the concept, or I need
Right.
to expand on this concept, or everybody's talking about anxiety and how they have to deal with anxiety. So let's expand on the topic
Right.
of anxiety, for
Exactly.
example. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's
Well,
perfect. Well, let's build. You ready?
yeah. Let's build it out.
Okay. So, so I'm going to go back into our group here. We're in the Convene 24 virtual. And as I go through, I'll kind of explain the different things that are inside of it. In fact, let me back up and I'm going to actually go out to the community. So it's the community experiences. If it's a public community, anybody and everybody can build an experience. And
Right.
you want anybody and everybody to build an experience. I'll give you a couple of thought processes on that in a public community. You want your members to come in, your group leaders to come in and build some free content in here, and it becomes a business builder for them. And I'll show you that concept here in just a minute. But what you're saying here is that, hey, I'm going to put a book in the library, and anybody can come check this experience out because um, it is good for everybody. It's
Hmm.
free, it's content, and I want people to do it. And so you'll see these are experiences inside of the Convene community, and they're talking about how Convene works, group strategy,
Right.
creating groups, creating experiences. And so you'll see, for example, is down in, the coaches groups, the coaches can take those experiences. I'll go to Kate's group. I think she's done it, but Kate can go to those experiences in here and she can say, hey,
Yep.
I'm going to add these in here. So she
Yep.
doesn't
That's
have
what I
to
was. Yep.
recreate the wheel. She
Yep.
now has from that public experiences, she can pull them down.
Yeah, so
Right.
being able to take a public experience into a community and adding it
Correct.
to your own group because it's relevant or people, you think people will enjoy it is a great benefit.
Absolutely. So the other thing would be is I could do the same thing in here. I could come into this group because I created it and I could say, okay, let's add some experiences in here. So I can add inside of this group all the public experiences in here. And then I can come in here and I can look at the ones that I add, assign it to the group, and I can
Hmm.
actually send it out and assign it out to any group member that would is in
Yeah,
there.
and I've used that with my teams in the past. Maybe it
Yeah.
was just an experience or a clip or something that was only for defenders. Here's the 12 people I assign it to.
Perfect. That's right.
Mhm.
Because that's and exactly what you want to do. Or let's say somebody comes in new and they're just getting started on building groups or building experiences. I might just assign that experience
That
out
one is, yeah, yep,
specifically. Okay. So let's go into the group now. So we have the same, you can see now we're in the group. So I can build group experiences that are just for this particular group. And so that's where I'm at. I'm at where I just was a minute ago, but I want to create an experience. So, in here, we're going to call because this is the basis of when people come in. I'm going to go here. And like I told you, I was going to copy off of a Word document. And this is going to give people that are coming in because we're trying to teach people about Convene. This is going to be the topic. It's called 12-second change everything, time critical decision making. So this is going to give you a backflow of what does this come from? What is Convene? What is this whole thing that we're talking about? Now I can
Hmm.
assign categories to the experience that helps them being searchable, but you'll see that this one shows up as a private one because it's only visible inside of this particular group.
Hmm.
I'm going to just paste that again for time. The 12 seconds change everything. But again, I'd probably want to put a little bit more description, but I can always go back and change that. And I'm going to create it. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab my image because what we've talked about is how the images are important. Where do we build these images?
Right. Let's
90,
just add.
99% of all people that build images do it with inside of Canva. So I highly
Hmm.
suggest Canva doing it in there. So I built this image earlier. So I'm going to come in here and change it. And it's going to say, okay, let's crop it. So you have to just crop it here. And there you go. Now the image is there. And you see it changed up here in the description. So now I'm saying, okay, is this good? Yep, I like the image, the story of Convene with Matthew Curran, and it's 12 seconds changed everything. Then it's going to take me to this page. Now, what is on this page? Well, there's certain things. If I came over here, we have selected layouts that we have. I can come in and click on it, and it's going to say, hey, it has all of these things inside of it. It has a background, presentation, questions, lesson learned, tests, surveys, discussion board. Or I can come over here and I can manually pick what I want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to manually pick. I'm going to just put questions. I'm going to put a lesson learned and a discussion board.
Yeah, before you click onto it, just to scroll down just a touch on the presets so we can see all the presets.
Yeah,
So all of those presets are based on all of our previous experiences in years past of what people are really using the experiences for.
right.
So, again, selling a digital course, if you
Yep.
want to test something, or so if you have a content that needs a certification at the end,
Yeah.
we
These are
put it all there, make it really nice and easy for you, click and keep going.
Yeah, these are the things that we've seen people do a lot that are, you know, just that people do over and over and over.
Right.
To share
Yep.
my story, maybe it's just a background and discussion board.
Right.
The Convene simple one. This is exactly what I just did: background, experience. Lesson learned and discussion. So it's
Yep.
giving you some different options, or you can come over and pick. Now, before we go past, these when you click over here, it'll give you some idea. Every experience has a background information.
Mhm.
The background information is when you come in and I'm going to teach you this topic. All right.
Right.
Or I'm going to talk about this topic.
Well,
So
from the two examples we used earlier, that the background from I Am From is the poem, is the written piece,
yeah,
right? The background experience from the soccer clips is the soccer clips.
absolutely. Exactly. The
Hmm.
presentation, you can actually build a presentation inside of Convene. I'm not going to do it today. Or you can take a PowerPoint and we have a PowerPoint uploader and you can upload the PowerPoint. What a lot of people do, what I tend to do if I have a presentation, I have a Mac and I'll end up building the presentation through Canva. Mostly I do it now. And then I'll use Loom and I'll do a voiceover and save that up into YouTube, and then that might be where I put the presentation. So, giving you the background information, this is what this is all about, and then I'm going to give you in the presentation, show you it, or maybe I go slide to slide to slide, and there's so many different ways to build it, but that's what that does. Questions become important. Questions are the who, what, when, where, why
Hmm.
questions. You want to give open-ended questions. You want people to come in and you want people to engage. If I ask you a yes or no question, here's my great example I'll use. Do you like chocolate? Well, if I say, do you like chocolate? You're going to say, yes, I like chocolate. I'm going to say no. Or I could say, do you like chocolate? What type of chocolate do you like? Or why do you like
Why
chocolate?
do you?
Yeah. Or why do you like chocolate? So it's making you expand on that thought process. So you
Right.
want to ask the who, what, when, or why,
Yeah.
or if I ask you a yes or no question, for example, I might come back and say, please explain your answer.
Well,
So
and
you
the
want
and the questions, the answers to the questions are always anonymous.
always
And
anonymous.
that's a major piece, if not the major piece, the questions and the answers of that peer-to-peer learning.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can see lesson learned, compile the responses from your answers to the lesson learned experience. What that's telling you to do is like, why did you write this experience? Right. Let's take me as a teacher and or me as somebody who's going to teach a topic. I'm going to read everybody's answers. And maybe I come back in and say, hey, based off everybody's answers that I read, these are the learning points. These are the takeaways. So I can summarize what I saw. Or
Hmm.
you as the teacher, it's like standing up in front of the classroom going, hey, take this away, take these 3 points away, and you're giving the foot stompers of what's going to be on the test, for example.
Okay.
That's the foot stomper there. And so those things become extremely important in that lesson learned, or maybe it's based off a real life experience, right? Maybe it's
Hmm.
based off a real story. I'm going to
Right.
tell you what I did right, what I did wrong. I'm going to give you the real story of what actually went on. The lesson learned, we can go deep into that for a lot because it's important, right?
Hmm.
Pre-test, post-test, you can give multiple choice tests inside of Convene. And those become important. Surveys, you can give surveys, and then discussion board. This is important too. It allows you to continue the conversation. So let's build one here.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and while you're clicking, the pre-test, post-test thing is a huge thing in education.
it
And
is.
I've only been in it for 5 years in the classroom, but I can tell you that the prior knowledge that the students will have just to be able to gauge it is, and then be able to test it afterwards is a major component to their learning.
Yeah. So this is going to be quick, and I'll show you how quick you can build it. Obviously, it's a little organization goes on the backside, but it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to write this as yourself or anonymously? We actually have people that come in and write experiences anonymously when they're talking about dealing with maybe some of the things they've dealt with in life and some of our like mental wellness communities or anything. We've had some people that have dealt with depression and they write experience. I can write a co-author experience. Like, for example, I can put in each section like you and me and Doc as co-authors on this. And the reason why you want to do that is because when somebody comes in and answers the experience, you'll also get a notification for that as well. I can
Right.
create completion certificates. So somebody finishes the experience, they can get a completion certificate. That is important. We have people that do continuing education, and sometimes you need to have that continuing education completion certificate. I can assign a due date for people where they're supposed to get it done. So I'm gonna keep all those. No, well, actually, let me put co-author in there. Well, actually, no, because you're not in the group yet. Um, so it won't do it. Okay, so then it's going to come up to the build page, and it's going to say, okay, well, let's build this experience. Now I can always go back and change these if I wanted to, but I'm going to click in the background information. So let's build it. Same thing. Come over here to my great document that I have, and I'm going to just copy it. Well, I'm gonna try to copy it here. All right.
I'm in the group.
All right. I'll go back and change that in a minute. Command C. All right. So I'm gonna just come in over here and I'm gonna paste it. There it is. So I just took 12 seconds, changed everything. This is something that I'd written up a long time ago. This talks about the kind of the idea and where it came from and the loss of Clark Beatty through the 2001, July 9th, 2001, losing my friend. So if you haven't watched the video of what Convene is all about and what experiences come from, go watch it. And so where are we going to do that? I'm going to add the video that talks about it. So again, YouTube videos. So there it is. I really kind of get in depth about that. So maybe I want to come back in and I want to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to turn that into 18. I like sometimes to change the color of the main header. So I turn it to blue and I can come back in. Well, maybe I want that to be bolds because that's the main header there, like these are. And so it's in there. Contact for more information. If somebody wants to talk to me, it has contact information where it's actually going to link out to a page because I copied it, and made it into the Word document. So there it is. I just created the page, the information page of the experience. And it's talking about where did all this come from and all that. So I'll submit that. And there it is. So that page is created.
Mm.
Now I want to add a document to it. Let's add a background file. I'm just going to come in here, add a document for now. Just because I'll put this in there to show that you can have experience documents. So I'm going to show that later with Brenda Warren, an experience that she created she has learning objectives and all that. So now I
Mhm.
have questions, um, and I can come in and ask a question. Now I'm going to just ask, what did you think of the video? And I'll change this later. I'm just trying to give an example. So what did you think of the video? I'll put that in there. That's a question. I can ask as many as I want. but I have to put something in there. You can see the exclamation's gone. And then I'll add the lesson learned. The lesson learned is where I dive a little bit deeper into that topic. So in this case, I'm just going to go grab, I'm going to grab some text over here from my website just to put something in there for now. And so there it is. My career as a Marine, talking about being a Marine. I'll submit that. And then a discussion board. This is where the discussion board is where you continue the conversation. So you want people to come in and you want people to talk about that. What questions do you have?
Right.
And this is where you're,
You spelled it wrong.
didn't I? Thank you.
Well, the other thing about the discussion board is not just continuing the kind of conversation, but as we mentioned earlier, if there was something in the experience or in the question, or excuse me, the answers from the
Yep.
questions that sort of kept coming up, now you can continue that in the discussion board. Maybe it was a topic that you didn't foresee becoming a topic of conversation. Well, now you can continue it in there.
Correct. And here's the deal. When your students go in and they take the experience, everybody needs to understand that they can actually come in and add a discussion board of their own. So they might have
Mhm.
some question that I didn't ask, but they get during the experience, they can come in and add that in there. And so now I can submit this experience. And just because I have the power, I'll approve the experience. And then there it is. This is the dashboard, what I see. I can go in and preview it. So this is actually what the students will see when they go in and take it. They'll go through it. It'll
Yeah.
ask them the question. They have the ability to answer it. And then once they answer it, they can come in here and edit it if they wanted to. It'll show everybody else's answers that are in here from if they've taken it. And then they get the lesson learned and they get to put their lesson learned. And then the last thing is they would see everybody else's lesson learned and their
Right.
answers. So that learning, that reinforcement is taking place. And then they would be able to go into the discussion board if they wanted to add to
Mhm.
that conversation. And that's as simple as it is. And
Yeah.
now it becomes a collaborative learning environment. I can come back in here, let's say, and go back to, let me go back into the group. Sorry, Convene 24 virtual. Let's say I want to come back in later and edit it. Me as the editor, I can come back into there. That's what it looks like in the thing.
Right.
I can come back in and I can take that experience, 12 seconds, change everything, and I can assign it out to Jeff Bateson. And so you just got it assigned to you. If there's more people in the
Sweet.
group, I can assign it out to the entire group. And now
Right.
it just helps you with your collaborative learning and your assignments and all those different processes out there. And that's it.
Yep.
That's an
Yep.
experience.
That's the crux of Convene and the learning experiences, the learning that goes on inside of the Convene.
It is. It
So,
is.
yep, yep.
And
So, well, that
important, and it's how we do things differently. Again, it's
that's right.
collaborative. Now your people, you're not just watching that video that somebody created, you're actually
Yeah,
involved in the learning
right.
process.
And that's what I was just gonna say. That's the big part. We started with kind of what makes Convene different. It'll kind of go all the way through it, and the communities, the groups, massive components to it. But for me, anyway, the experiences is what really sets us apart.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just a video. It's not just a PowerPoint. It's not just a document. Here, read it, watch it, and be done with it. It's here.
Yeah.
Let's watch it. You read it. You watch it. Let's answer some questions. Let's learn from others. Oh wait, there's a lessons learned. What is Matt's lesson learned in the 12 seconds? Oh wow, I agree with that. And I also learned X, Y, and Z from the 500 people that took this experience and the
Yeah.
answers that I read. And
Yeah. And
now
then
I've
me when
really
I'm
fully.
exactly. And then me when I'm out there teaching it and I pull that experience up, then I have that knowledge. I can show those answers. I can say, hey, this is what other people said to it. So now
Yep.
I'm using that data to teach.